let's say I have the following array, and this is also going to be a 2D array. So this is source code 01. This is going to be summing the rows in 2D array. So I want to sum the rows, and the reason why I want to sum them is I want to have a 2D array that's going to simulate student scores. So this is what I'm going to have. I'm going to have an array of let's say I have constant integer num rows, let's say 5, and then constant, let me make it even more, let me make it, that's fine, let me make it 8 so it's not even, and then constant int num columns, let's make that a 5. Okay, so number of rows is going to represent how many students I have. So represents students, and columns represent assignments. So row 0 is student 0, row 1 student 1. Now row 0 column 1 is student assignment 1, row 0, and so on. So let me put an array. So I'm going to have integer, let's say classroom. So classroom is going to be an array of num rows followed by, pardon me, not followed, but num columns as well. And I'm going to hard code it to save some time. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 students. And my first student, these are their grades. Let's say 88, 97, 79, 86, and 94. So that's their grades. So quiz 1 was 88, or test 1 88, second test 97, 79, 86, and so on and so forth. And the second guy had 86, 91, 78, 79, and 84. And the third guy had 82, 73, 77, 82, and 89. And then a bunch of them dropped out, so I don't have to type all this. So I'm going to, instead of 8 students, I'm going to have 3 students. Okay? We don't want to type too much, right? So, but anyway, so this represents student. My first row means student that we call student 0, student 0, and 5 test scores. Then the second row is student that we call 1 and their 5 test scores, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now I would like to know what is how do I give them grade? And from your homework, the previous one that you did, or rather that exercise that we did with parallel arrays, right? You know that I could stick a parallel array with names, a string array with names, and then column 0, pardon me, row 0 would have student name 0, right? Row 1 would have student 1's name. Then I could stick another array which is also parallel array to this, of characters where I can figure out their grade, A, F, B, C, and things like that. That is rather tedious, and we're about to learn much better way to do it, which is abstract data types. But I hope that everybody understands how we could do this, that if I wanted to match student names with their grades and things like that. So anyway, rather than having 5 different arrays for 5 scores, I can use one 2-dimensional array and represent that and save on some extra typing, okay? And also maintenance and coding. So this is my array. So I would like to find out average for each student. Okay, so for student 1, what do I need to calculate their average? Do I need to loop through the entire array, or do I need to just loop through row 1 and all of the columns of that row 1? Okay, so let's write a function that's gonna do that for us. So if I was to find an average, what is the data type that I'm going to return? Double. So let's do double, and then we're going to call this get average. And to get average, I'm going to pass a constant int, let's say grades, or student grades, student, and that's going to be with num columns. So that's what I'm passing in. I'm also going to pass integer num rows, and I'm also going to pass actually, yeah, I can just pass current student. Just bear with me for a second, and that's it. So current student is the row for which I'm interested, right? To figure out their average. So get average, the way it works is just going to go and say 88 plus 97 plus 79 plus 86 plus 94 divided by 5. That is the average if my current student is 0. If my current student, the parameter that I'm passing in, if this guy here is 1, then it's going to go and say 86, 91, 79, add them, figure out the average for that person, and return it back. Make sense? Jacques?
So is current student supposed to be inside the array?
No. Look, I don't want to go through all of this. I don't want to calculate this and this and this. Why? These are grades for student 0. These are grades for student 1. So I want to calculate averages for each person, for each student. So I don't need, if I'm calculating grades for you, I don't need to calculate grades for the rest of your colleagues. And you, I refer to you by your position in this grid.
Okay.
And your position is in row 0, whatever, right?
Okay.
Make sense?
So there's a typo for the array when you're putting it into the function. Yeah, after num calls.
Yeah, I'll fix that. But
okay.
Am I answering your question? I need to do this. Yeah. And we need to know how many columns, but that's about it. Okay. So how do I compute that? So I'm going to have a local variable sum or total or something like that, and that total is my accumulator. So I'm going to loop through this array. So I'm going to say for int I is 0, I is less than what? Num columns, because I need to go through all the columns, and then I plus plus, and now I'm going to go through this student, I'm going to say that total is total plus student grades, and then the row is current student. I'm just interested in one, okay? and then whatever the current column is, which is going to be I. Does it make sense? So 88, 97, 79 for the first one. So I get my total, then I'm going to have my average. So double AVG, and then my average is total divided by how many of them I have. I have num columns. Okay, total is integer, num columns is integer, so we know better that we need to force mixed mode arithmetic here. So what do? Static cast double, and then pick one of these guys. Right? Last but not least, return average. So that is my get average function. Is everybody on board with this? So rather than looping through the whole array, we're holding that row, particular row, steady, and we just go through all of the columns. Okay, so let's copy this. And I made a mistake here. I know probably why you were giving me that look, Jackis. I put this square bracket here, and that's probably what was bothering you. So yeah, all right, now we're okay. Let's copy that. Let's put it here in the function prototypes. Get rid of the variable names, and we're good. Okay, so let's figure out what's the average for first student. Actually, we can now figure out average for all of the students. So I could say for int I. Actually, let's do one, and then we can later, once you see what I'm doing, then you can do the average of all of them. So here we're going to say cout the average for the first student is, and then we call get average. And let me do that on new line so it's more visible. So get average. What do I pass to get average? Classroom. What else do I pass to get average? The current student. So it's 0. Current student is student 0. Then if I want to get average for, and then let's do inline. And let's see what that is. Somebody please add 88, 97, 79, 86, and 94 divide by 5 real quick, just to make sure that we get correct results. So I'm going to compile while you're adding that, whoever the good volunteer is. It says 88.8. Hopefully it's correct. Anybody add that? All right, let's try. Let's do calc. So here, let me do 88 plus, oops, 88 plus 97 plus 79 plus 86 plus 94. 444 divided by 5, 88.8. So it's correct. So you see how you can sum all of your rows. So in your homework, you may want to have some kind of, I don't want to give away the whole homework, but you may want to check only for one particular row, do I have all X's? Do I have all O's? And things that we learned, there would be some kind of Boolean that you use to check and things like that. And for the column, you're going to do a little bit different. Pardon me, not for the column, but for the, yeah, we can do column too, but you can do for diagonal, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to do some hopping. But good news is there's only three rows and 3 columns. How do you draw a point between A and B without using the draw function? And if I have A that is, let's say B is here and my A is here, how would you draw a line between these 2 points? I have point A here, and I have a point B here. Okay? All you know is that A has X coordinate something and Y coordinate something, and B has X coordinate something and B coordinate something. So in other words, I am here and I want to draw a line all the way to Andrew. And I know that my location can only be expressed in 2 numbers. By X, I am this much offset, and by Y, I am this much offset. So if I know my destination, then what I do is I go 1 by X, 1 by Y, 1 by X, 1 by Y. That's exactly how the draw function works. You go like this, and you see where I'm going, folks, 1 more, and 1 more, and so on, and I end up eventually there. So the reason why I'm telling you that, for your diagonal, you're going to have to figure out what's your diagonal in your grid. So draw it on paper, right, to see which way you're going to go to check. So you're going to pass your array to a function, and then you need to see is diagonal. Is there a winner by diagonal? Is there a winner by row? Using this, you can determine winner by row. Can you? Instead of adding them, you're going to check, are they of same type? If they all are of same type, Boolean, yes, they are of same type. If you want to check by column, how could, like for example, if I wanted to sum 88 plus 86 plus 82, how could I do that? How could I do that just to add those? Let's write a function to add 88, 86, and 82.
Then wouldn't you put num rows as the like visible constant, and you'll just take out num columns and replace that with the
Sure. That's my challenge to you. Go ahead and do it. Do it in teams, and then we're going to do it together. Sum 88 plus 86 plus 82. Write a function that sums that. That would be sum your column. So let's sum that. You know how to sum a row. We just did it. Now sum a column. I'll be right back. I'm going to run and get. Yeah. Yep, definitely. I prefer that you guys type this up. All right, you'll excuse me for a second. I'll run get some papers. So do we have a solution? Yes? All right, let's do sum by column. So sum is going to return what? An int. So sum by column. What am I going to pass to it? Some kind of student grades array. And then int, I can do current column, but do I need to pass something else? I need to pass which column I am doing, but I also need, because, you know, I mean, it's going to know, the function is going to know how many rows we have because of this, because it's global, but let's say it's not. Let's write it, you know, more generic. So I need to say num rows, something like that. Okay, you don't have to pass num rows because we declared it global constant, but let's say we want to write this for. So how do we do that? Let's copy this code here. This is all you need. We're going to have to change it. So for integer I is less than num rows that you passed. Num rows. Your total is going to be, well, your row is going to change. So your row is going to be I, and this guy here, column, is always going to be current column. And then declare this to be int total, and then return the total when you're done. So return total. So that is your function. So the trick here, as you see, if you compare these two side by side, for the rows, if I want to sum rows, if I want to, for example, sum all of the, what you may call it, columns, okay, then I would sum, if I want to sum all the entries in a row, then I need to hold that row constant. And that's here in getAverage. See, we keep the row always the same, current student, but the column changes. Which, if you think about it, makes sense. If I want to, let's say each one of you had a piece of paper that had a number with it. And I say, I just want to know what is the sum of values that are in the row number 1 or row number 0 here. So do I need to change rows? No. What changes? Columns. Does it make sense? So, and then let's say I want to sum it by one column. That column stays stationary, but rows change. And here you see rows change, column is always stationary. Here the row is stationary, but the columns change. Does it make sense? Yes? I don't know how to interpret your silence, so Matthew is getting ready here to take a little nap, right? No? All right, but he's not feeling good today, so that's okay. All right, so let's copy this. Let's see if it works. So let's copy this. Let's put it here. Let's see if I indeed get that. And what I'm interested in is that my function returns 88 plus 86 plus 82 divided by 3. Actually, no, just the sum. So let me see what that is. So 88 plus 86 plus 82 is 256 divided by 3 is 85.33. So that's what we need to get. All right, so let's call it. Let's do cout. the sum of values in column 0 is, and then we're going to call this function, and the function we call is sum by column. And what do we pass? We pass classroom, and then the second thing we pass is current column, which is 0, and how many rows we have? Num rows. Again, you don't have to pass num rows. You would know because of the global constant. Okay, so end line, and let's see what that indeed is. Sum by column, what did I forget? I forgot something. Num rows, not num row, num rows. Let's try one more time. So sum of values in column is 256. So that should be correct. All right, so we got that. Now, how do I find out sum of values in column 1? Well, I simply go and I do this. I can print it and I change this to 1. And if I run it, it's going to give me that. So it's 261 and so on and so forth. But if I want to do the third one, fourth one, fifth one, then you see the pattern. So the column 2, and I change this to 2. So this begs, I can put this in a loop and get each of the columns to give me their sum. So anyway, that is how you use 2D arrays. Any questions on this? Okay. How would you find if we had, let me have a different array here. Let me quickly help you a little bit more with the homework. What if I have integer, let's say my array, and my array is two-dimensional array, and it has the following members: 1, 2, 3, the first member. Then in the second member it has 4, 5, 4, 5, and 6, and then in the third member it has 7, 8, and 9. So that is my array, and this is obviously 3 and 3. So what I'm looking for is, I want to see a sum slightly different than what we did so far. And let me print them nicely so we can see them. So I want to see a sum of 7, 5, and 3. So 7, 5, and 3. So that should give me 15. How would I do that? How would I determine that sum diagonally?
You with a for loop and add another in each loop that it subtracts the whole.
Okay, so let's try that as a quick challenge before we stop, because you guys need to evaluate me. So try it and then, give it a shot. I want to find out what is 7 plus 4 plus 3. So this guy plus that guy. And I don't mean that you hard code it. Try to write a function that maybe you could pass.
Professor, you said you wants to code something to make the sum of the
Yeah.
357.
Either 357 or 753, however you want. I don't care as long as you give me the sum diagonally. What are things that you need to look for when you try to sum something diagonally? You need to know what is your. How do you know that it's a diagonal? Let's start by that. How do I know that this is a diagonal?
You gotta go every single one. You go like up by one column and over by one column, or down by
Okay,
one
what if
column.
I start here? What if I ask
You're going down by one column
down by one?
and down
Okay.
by one.
So you need to know one, you need to know the size of your, right? So if I'm at the end, if I'm at that maximum, then, let's say, what is my row here?
Zero.
What is my column? Three.
Zero. Three.
Which is maximum, right?
Yes.
Or two rather, right? So I go and then I say I am at my first row and I'm at the maximum of the columns. So then I can go to the next row. Columns I cannot go anymore. So I go to the next row and then because I'm at the maximum of my columns, I need to subtract the column. Then I go to the next row, I subtract the column. If I'm here, my row is maximum, I cannot go further, so I need to go up, meaning I need to decrease the row, increase the column, decrease the row, increase the column.
So you could just put like a for loop and put like an increment or an decrement on the rows and columns.
Exactly. What I was doing, remember, I want to go all the way there to Andrew. I'm here, I'm gonna move one this way, one this way, one this way, one that way. So you zigzag, no? Okay, so anybody done? Ah.
You want to take the input for it, or just those specific?
You could, I mean, actually, you don't need to take the input. You could just do, just give me a specific one. Let's say from 3, 5, and 7 between. Is anybody done? Maybe.
I'm about to run it right now. Let's see. There.
Let me ask you something to possibly help you. Which row and column cannot give you a diagonal?
Which row and column?
Do I have a diagonal if I'm
In the middle.
here? Here.
No.
I can't. Diagonal has to be 3 members. So row 2 and column 2 I cannot have diagonal. So diagonal can only be 1, 7, 3, and 6. Only in these locations. If I'm in this location, if I'm in location 1, meaning 0, 0, then I have a diagonal this way. If I'm in location 7, then I have a diagonal this way. If I'm in location 3, then I have a diagonal this way. If I'm in location 9, I have a diagonal that way. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. Yep. All right, so what do I type here? If I have current row 0 and current column 0, how do I calculate it?
Oh, you start from the first. Okay, so
Yeah.
what I did was I did a for loop.
So I'm going to have 4 int I row or I. Okay. Let's use row so if row is 0, row is less than
And I made that a number like 3 because.
yeah, but let's do num rows because we're always going to go to maximum, right? And then row plus plus, right? Then what else do I do?
Then I have an integer called sum.
I got a total here.
Total,
Yeah.
Total,
Okay.
and then I said total plus equals.
But don't I need to? How do I get to 2? How do I get, if I'm here, I get 1. How do I get to 5? How do I get to 9?
Well, I use that in the.
All right, tell me.
I put it in the array as total plus equals.
Ah.
And then the
Okay.
array.
All right.
So
So
first position I did.
Total is total plus, right? Then my array student grades.
And then I did. I guess it would be current row plus current row plus row.
Okay.
And then the position would be.
And then column.
Plus rows.
Yeah. So row is 0, but then what column do I use? Column.
Column, and then this one would also be plus the.
But wait.
Variable.
Yeah, but don't I need another loop? Or how do I get the column to increment? How do you increment the column?
Well, you just
Here. What do I do here?
Because there I had it to make it the current column and then plus plus row, and it would give the because row is always changing by the number of rows.
Right, but is column changing?
Yes. Should. The thing is, like, I had it to 3, so it would always be even. But
no, that's fine. But I'm interested to see how you did it. So what do you do here?
What I did was I said current column, and then plus I in this case, I guess it would be.
So plus row.
Plus row, yeah. Inside. Well, inside.
Okay, so you did a little hack here.
Yeah.
So you get your thing, but All right, so that gives you the total. So that's in case row is, and then you would check if I'm here in 3, then I would decrease, right? If I'm in 7, I would decrease rows but increase columns. And if I'm in 9, I would just decrease rows and decrease columns. So we're going to do one case here. So could I put the second loop in here rather than doing this? Would that work? Would that work? If I did this, if I said for column is 0, column is less than num columns, column plus plus, and then I calculate my total inside. And by the way, I'll keep yours as a comment. So could I have done student grades? Could I have done this? Total is total with when I have current row and then current column. Would that work or no?
Yeah, it should. It's incrementing.
Yeah, it's incrementing, but is it going to grab all of them? You see what I'm saying? You're going to get all of them.
Oh yeah. It's grabbing everyone.
Yeah, so that won't then work, right? So this is not going to work. So do I need this loop, or can I get away with what you just did? That is the question that I have. Yeah, so you may not need this loop at all. So anyway, I hope everybody sees that. So anyway, let's see. Let's call this function. Let's see if I get 15. So I'm going to put it here, and we're going to have to expand it. But I think now you have most of what you need for your homework. So, and let's do here cout and let's do the sum by diagonal is, and then let's call the function what is the function name? Sum by diagonal. We're going to pass my array, and then actually here I went through num columns is 3. This should be num rows because this is 5. Since I don't have, okay, this one here, not num columns but num rows. I don't have that. I don't have 3. I'm not passing 3. But anyway, let's see if I get that. Not by column. This one. Sorry. Num rows. So let's see if I get 15. So my array and then current row is going to be 0 and current column is 0. So I better get 15. So let's see. Hopefully that works. Sum by diagonal. What did I miss? Because here I'm passing num rows. Let me see. Oh, not student grades. Not student grades. We're going to have to pass a different array. Let's say 3. Sum by diagonal. We have 3 and 3. And let me make sure that we have, yeah, let's just have 3. All right, let's try one more time. Oh, sum by diagonal is 0. How did I get a 0? So I passed, if row is 0 and column is 0, which both of them are, I go for row 0. Row is less than number of rows. Let me put the 3 here. That's probably what the problem is. So current row plus row, current column plus row. Current column is 0. Let's try one more time. That's probably what it was. No, I still keep getting 0. What is wrong with my code? So row is 0, row is less than 3. Total is total plus, and then what is student grades? What are these grades?
Because I think it's because you increment row inside of the loop, so row equals 0.
So row is gonna be.
Always be equal to 0.
So no, row is gonna be 0. Then it's gonna be 1, and then column. I need to somehow increment the column. I'm not incrementing the column because it's 0, 0. Then I increment row, so it's gonna be 1, 1. And then it's going to be 2, 2. So it should, yeah, I need to see what the problem is. So let me see. Who sees it? I do. We don't return anything from the function. Return total. Yeah, the logic is okay. We forgot. We were rushing. All right. So let's see that. Yeah, it's 15. Yeah. So the logic is good. All right, so let's stop here, guys. Are there any questions on this? So I think we rehashed most of the things that you need to know for your homework to be successful in your homework, except you're not going to be adding things. You're going to be looking whether they are equal to something, and you're going to work with booleans. So yeah, I'll put the whole thing in Moodle, but yeah.